We won with poorly educated. I love the poorly educated.
Hello and welcome back to the channel, Maga Hive Mind. Hope you're all having a wonderful day today, because I sure have, especially when I watched this debate session that took place on Abby Philip NewsNight on CNN the other day, featuring Cornell West, Adam Mockler, Scott Jennings, Carolyn Downey, and Josh Rogin. And it's once again, it's Scott Jennings making a complete and utter fool of himself, but this time he's not alone. Carolyn Downey also decides to join in and make a complete fool of herself, where she and Scott are just throwing stuff at the wall, hoping it sticks, and it doesn't. Abby Philip, Adam Mockler, and Cornell West bring the receipts and completely destroy the narrative that Carolyn Downey and Scott Jennings are trying to push. And it doesn't work. They bring the receipts, and it's just brilliant. And so what we'll do is, let's watch the video, and we'll come back and discuss a little bit after the video here. Let's roll the clip.
Blaming Trump and Republicans, both equally, and Dems in Congress about the same. But really, Trump and Republicans in Congress have slightly more of the blame here, which is not typically how this goes for the party that is trying to reopen the government without making a deal.
It is a stalemate. I think it's about which party has the most tolerance for political pain at the end of the day, because both are going to suffer in their districts across all of these states. But the fact is that the Democrats turned into a circus what should have been a simple housekeeping measure, which was extending the Biden levels of spending in a clean CR. And it was clean. It was very clean. But instead, they decided to die on the hill of making into perpetuity a COVID-era subsidy. Are we in COVID, guys? We're no longer it's not the pandemic anymore, right?
Increasingly, you're hearing Republicans saying we need to fix the health care part.
You said that
this. Like they recognize it's a problem.
You said that Democrats are dying on this hill, but a lot of Republicans are climbing up the same hill right now. Marjorie Taylor Greene has been outspoken about it. Mike Johnson got confronted on C-SPAN the other day by a Republican. I don't know. I know I'm a lot younger than you, so I'm closer to like 5th grade government 101, but this takes compromise. If you have 53 Republicans and you can't get 7 Democrats to sign on, that means they're not compromising. There were 13 CRs passed under Biden because they let Republicans into the room and they said, listen, you guys can talk to us, we'll talk to you, we'll negotiate. In this case, Democrats are essentially being shut out, and Donald Trump is posting AI memes of Hakeem Jeffries with a sombrero. So if you want to talk about a circus,
it's a meme war.
It's reciprocal from the Democrats. Donald Trump is the president. He should have a say.
Let me just, real quick, Scott, let me play, this is Trump in 2019, back when he was president, okay? So he was in the White House, and he was the one trying to keep the government shut down until he got his border wall. And here's what he said.
We really have no choice but to build a powerful wall or steel barrier. If we don't get a fair deal from Congress, the government will either shut down on February 15th again, or I will use the powers afforded to me under the laws and the Constitution of the United States to address this emergency.
Wasn't the first time, wasn't the last time that it was Trump and Republicans who were saying, we won't open the government until we get what we want in terms of concessions.
Trump really values being seen as a peacemaker, and credit where credit is due. This ceasefire was amazing to see. I was tearing up at all of the videos of hostages being reunited with their families. I also think it's important to be very accurate about how we're reporting this. The peace deal that has been proposed has not been signed. The peace deal that Israel agrees to, the 20-point peace plan, Hamas is very likely to agree to for a few reasons. First of all, it necessitates the dismantling of all of their military arms. It doesn't seem like they're going down that direction, even though they should. It also necessitates them never returning to power as governance over civilians, and it doesn't seem like they're headed that way either. So I just think that Hamas has spent the past 24 hours executing people who dissent, people who are pro-Israel or pro-Palestinian Authority. I think we need to spend more time talking about phase 2 and the actual peace deal rather than some Nobel Peace Prize when that hasn't even been achieved yet.
Now, I want to start with the Trump part of this, which is what Bannon notes in this piece, which is essentially that he's treating Congress just as like, you know, a ceremonial thing that's there to just like sign off on his policies. And that is kind of how Congress is behaving in this moment. So I'm not surprised, I guess, I don't know if you are, that Trump feels like he can kind of do whatever he wants in this moment.
So I agree that Congress needs to rediscover its agency and actually start acting like Congress, start legislating, end the shutdown, all of that jazz. But I think it would be really silly to accuse Trump of being, again, this like unilateral executive when under the Biden administration, the Obama administrations, they maximized their mandate fully. We remember Obamacare was the hallmark achievement of Obama's term. We forget how extremely controversial, divisive that was at the time.
That was passed with a supermajority in Congress.
But the point is that he pushed it through.
I mean, that was
Trump
a
is ruling through
legislative
executive.
accomplishment that was passed with. They needed 60 votes to get that done, and they got it done with 60 votes.
Biden instituted.
I don't think there's anything that they've gotten 60 votes.
Trump is
on
ruling
of
the executive
significance.
order.
If you want to talk about rule by executive order, Biden issued a ton of
Donald
executive
Trump on his
orders.
first day issued a historic amount, and since then he has been subverting Congress. He appointed Elon Musk in a special position, and it seems like they were subverting the power of the purse the entire time. At the end of the day, Congress has been Donald Trump has been stomping on them, not even paying attention to them. He has absolutely been consolidating power by appointing loyalists into key positions across agencies, and in those agencies, I mean,
Let's talk about
he
who's setting
directly.
precedent
The president
here.
of the United States appointed people who support his agenda to
Are you
place in
telling
the
me?
federal government?
Are you telling me that you're okay
Oh, my
with
goodness.
Donald Trump asking Pam Bondi directly? It was supposed to be a DM, and he
Come on.
accidentally posted it. Don't just come on now. This is
all presidents
unprecedented.
appoint their supporters and the people who
Do
support
they
their
ask
agenda
their
to federal
supporters to
agencies.
indict 3 people, and then two of those 3 people are then indicted?
They're members of Congress
this is
from their
dishonest.
party to pass their agenda.
This is
Whether
dishonest.
if you have the party if your party is in charge in Congress, they look to the president to set the agenda for the party. After all, in the elections, people who turn out to vote are typically voting.
So
for the
Biden never
presidential
weaponized
candidate.
his DOJ,
So-
and that's what you're saying. Biden never asked.
No, he absolutely did.
When did he ask
You want to
Merrick
talk
Garland?
about lawfare?
When did he ask Merrick Garland to go after someone? Trump sent a
Oh,
DM
wait.
to Pam Bondi.
Wait a minute,
This is
wait a minute.
unprecedented.
The Merrick Garland who sent the parental rights memo
So did
that
Bi-
basically demonized
And Biden
parents
asked him
that
to do that
protested
when? When
at
did
school
Biden?
board meetings.
I'm going to ask you a simple question. When did Biden ask him to do that?
Garland collaborated with Biden
When
to
did Biden
send that
directly
memo
ask him to do that?
weaponizing the FBI and
Hold
law
on.
enforcement
Garland collaborated with Biden.
with the Biden administration. Yes.
Okay.
That was their
Garland
policy. I mean,
collaborated
it was
with
the
Biden.
administration's
And I think
policy.
that,
It absolutely
Adam's
was.
question, and it's a question I guess apparently this comes up on the show every other day, is where is the evidence that that was directed by the White House? Where's the evidence that it was directed? And I'm
They have
going to
none.
broaden it, like not just the president, because you could argue that if you're going to compare apples to apples, the direction needs to come from the president, but from the White House. Where's the evidence of that?
Where's the evidence they disagreed with it? Is this not his
Wait,
administration's
disagreeing
policy?
with it is not a crime.
That's a totally different.
Is it not his-
that's a
is it not
totally
his
different
policy?
thing.
Was it not his administration's
where is the
policy?
Evidence, where is the evidence that?
Where
it was
is the evidence that he wasn't happy with his own
But hold on a
administration's
second,
policy?
Scott. I actually think that's a really important point because whether it is agreement or disagreement, both of those things would be involving themselves in what's going on at DOJ in a way that most presidents don't, and that Donald Trump is. So whether or not they said do this or don't do that, both of those things would actually be off limits in a world in which
That's the
DOJ is
executive
allowed to
branch.
I
pursue.
love
That's what the
If
executive
Joe
branch.
A world in which DOJ
If
is
Joe
allowed to pursue
Biden
the
was
rule of
mad
law.
about
I
Merrick
mean,
Garland
do
going
you
after
think-
ordinary parents, he could have put a stop to
Scott,
it. But I
do
think
you-
he loved it.
Do you think
I think
that
he
the
loved it.
president should be engaged one way or another, saying affirmatively or saying negatively, about what the DOJ is doing?
I have told you many times.
You
I
think
think it's
so?
fine for the president to express opinions about how his
He
administration
directly
operates.
asked
Okay.
her. I love
And I
watching
also
the
think it's
conservatives
fine for
duck
processes.
and dodge. No
Listen,
answer.
Is that not the executive branch?
I think that this is super important because Adam's making an important point. Trump said, you're not doing your job. In fact, he said something very similar just the other day. I mean, you're not doing your job. He called out 3 names. 2 of those people have been indicted. So that's more than just expressing an opinion. That was an order.
It is
to
extraordinarily
his Attorney General.
naive to believe that the Biden Department
We're
of
being
Justice
naive?
operated as some disembodied, floating,
But you have no
quasi-
example.
but see,
magical
no.
seahorse.
I love-
out
I
in
love
the
watching
ether.
You don't think
That's
the
not the way
president
it
knows
works.
what his department's
Sister
doing?
Abby, Sister Abby.
Those are his
The-
departments.
All right, go ahead.
It's executive
For me,
branch.
the problem is, especially Brother Scott, though, man, if one side is doing something immoral, all you're going to do is point out what the other side did that was
What is
immoral.
immoral?
There is no
What is immoral?
equivocation here.
Tell me
though.
what's immoral.
the violation of constitutional separation of sites and spheres.
Who set that
If
precedent?
if
Who
one
set that
party is
precedent?
weaponizing, you say the
Okay,
other party
I
is
love
weaponizing.
watching the
So
conservatives
that
on
we
this
never
panel.
get beyond any kind of immorality. We just rationalize more immorality, concentration of power, and you end up
I
in
mean,
the
I
end,
think that that's
for the-
fundamentally
for the
I mean, look,
fascism. That's how
I
you
think
that's
that,
how you
that
end
there
up
are
with
quibbles
fascism.
about
No
whether
morality
or not
whatsoever.
you guys have proof of your allegations of weaponization, which I've heard none so far at this table.
2013,
But even,
I
Even
read
if you did have
but even
weaponization of
if
both,
you
so what? They're
do-
both wrong. They're both wrong.
Right,
They're both
exactly.
wrong.
So even if you do, you know, wouldn't the correct response be to restore actual rule of law in those institutions as opposed to further weaponizing them?
Absolutely.
Are you sure that the people who've been indicted aren't guilty?
That's not the
I didn't-
point.
Sure,
That is not the point.
I didn't make any statements about their guilt or innocence.
But you seem to think it's a
I'm-
violation of the
But can
rule
you
of law for a
acknowledge
grand
who
jury to have
crossed the
indicted
No,
them.
Rubicon?
Scott,
That's
that's
what I
not what
wanna-
we're talking about here. We are talking about Donald Trump's role in directing his attorney general about who to prosecute. That's what we're talking
Who
about.
then has to go to a grand jury and present evidence and go through the process like everybody else in this
But
country.
the first prosecutor, Eric Siebert, didn't want to do it, so Trump
Okay.
forced him out. I love watching the
The grand
conservatives.
jury met.
Listen, I
They-
love
they
watching the
brought charges.
conservatives on this
I know you
panel
don't wanna believe
dodge
it,
and
but they
weave with
did.
zero evidence whatsoever of any weaponization. I've asked you this multiple times, and you have no evidence, yet Donald Trump tried to send Pam Bondi a DM. This should be embarrassing that you are defending the President of the United States as he is directly asking.
I'm defending
All right.
a process of grand
Josh
juries that's
Rogin,
existed in this country for a
I
very
want to
long
just
time.
raise this one with you because one of the other things here in this journal story is that the business leaders are saying that they are afraid to speak out about Trump. I don't think anyone wants to suffer the consequences of any public comment whatsoever that might be interpreted as an excuse to go after them. This is the chief executive of the Partnership for New York City, a business group here in New York. The vibe is Trump is so powerful. He's using the White House as a weapon. Business leaders are like, we'd rather just stay out of the fray.
Yeah, not just business leaders, academic institutions, law firms, think tanks, non-governmental organizations, you name it. The Trump administration has taken an unprecedented policy of extorting these institutions.
So as you can see, brilliant show from Adam Mockler and Cornell West, as well as Abby Philip bringing the receipts here. And you saw both Carolyn and Scott just throw stuff at the wall hoping they stick. They tried the government shutdown one, accusing Democrats of shutting down the government, when no, it's the Trump shutdown, or the Epstein shutdown is what I like to call it. Let's face it. The real reason why the government got shut down is because Mike Johnson would have to swear in the latest member of the Congress, which was a Democrat, and that would give Democrats the final vote they need to push this through. Even Thomas Massey, Republican congressman, has mentioned this before. It would give him the votes they need to push for the release of the files. Republicans shut it down because they don't want the Epstein files getting released. And not to mention that Republicans control the House, Senate, White House, Supreme Court, and you might as well include social media, Twitter and Facebook. They own majority of legacy media. It's on the Republicans. Then they tried to use the executive order lie, accusing Biden of having the record amount of executive orders when no, Trump made the record on just his first day in the White House. And we're not even including for all the executive orders he did back in his first term. Then they tried to push the other lie about how Biden was campaigning on and also ordering his DOJ to pursue Donald Trump and prosecute Donald Trump and go after his enemies, if you will. When Biden never once ordered Merrick Garland to go after Trump. You can look, show me the campaign rally, show me the ad rally, show me the speech where Joe Biden specifically said, Merrick, go after my enemies. You don't. You can't find any of them. But you find plenty of times where Donald Trump has specifically told Pam Bondi to go prosecute my enemies. You saw the DM messages the other day that got leaked. So, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Leave a comment down below. Who do you think made a bigger fool of himself in this video? Was it Carolyn Downey or was it Scott Jennings? I gotta say, for the first time, usually Scott Jennings makes a fool of himself, but I'm gonna have to go with Carolyn Downey. She made a complete fool of herself in here. And there seems to be this reoccurring theme where when you hear about a woman that's pro-MAGA, why are they always blonde? Like, they doing a really bad job in making all blonde women look really dumb. But why is it always, when it comes to a MAGA woman, why are they always blonde? I hope you all like what you saw today. Please like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps it out. And I'll see you all in the next video.